Hey y'all. Welcome back to this monthly situation called Creatively Exposed. Where we humanize the creative one episode at a time. And I have been ruminating on this for a while. There's some cool intentional things that I want to get out into the world in April, which is gonna really hit on like poetry and creative conversations. So I hope you enjoy the minds of poets the way that I do. And I'll also be discussing some things around poems of mine. So stay tuned for that in April. And so what I've been ruminating on it are multiple things, but the there's this, I think, a bridge between a blog post that I have on my website elizabeth.com about kind of some astrological influences around perfectionism. And sometimes it's like a covert perfectionism or a lack thereof when we don't allow our art to mature. And I think I've never really allowed to let my work just kind of like sit and stew. Not never, but not as much. I have this collection that are, sitting in those people's submittable box and they're reviewing and things like that. And, there's hella no's that are gonna come. It's just part of the process. But it's also like, instead of thinking, oh, this sucks, or they just don't get it because I'm whatever, I'm thinking about, have I become the person that I need to be to fully connect the dots in this collection that I have, right? A lot of my work feels like it's pretty out there. I usually do go against the traditional setup of things, and not even on a way to be contrarian or whatever. It's just like that's how my brain sees the things, right? And so in having a conversation with a friend who was able to like give me critiques, writer community, you need it. And just sitting with that is like, there's so much that I have self-taught in my writing. And so sometimes it's that I need to become either the writer, right? Acquire additional skills, patience, but also let it sit and come back to it and be able to say, these are the things that are missing, versus like, it feels complete, but I feel like it keeps growing into something else. And so, I'm not somebody who has done multiple drafts for a lot of my work, and that can be a flaw, whatever, however, I don't care. Some things work and some things don't, right? And for certain things, like a whole collection or certain poems, they just gotta sit, right? Either it's too far ahead where people aren't even looking for this kind of work, because that can happen. It can be very niche, or it's just not its moment to shine. And so I wonder about the thought process of, we're in a society where things are on all of the time. You're on go all of the time, even though it's literally a new moon. The moon is in void. We done did all these kind of things. The time done changed on this side of the world. Everything is relative, right? And so what is it like to have more patience with the work that we are creating? I'm thinking about that as I move into a different genre, right? I've had a lot of the same critiques, but some of it is like, cool, I got this critique, but how the hell do I apply what has been said if I don't know how to do that? I don't have the devices, right? And so it's just a highlighting of importance of what my friend said. It's like, we are from the diaspora, we are Caribbean folk. The concept of creating in a vacuum doesn't really work. Collaboration is what we need, and that is on so many levels, especially if the work is centering the reimagining of a world apart from the one that we live in. Because sometimes, I get questions around my work, or I have to calibrate the way that it's being done, and I don't even have the answers of like what's next in the story. And so don't undermine that you are literally creating art from the ethers, right? It's always easy for outsiders or the gatekeepers to undervalue what it takes for you to be excellent. And to that I say, just don't forget that you are the excellence. Because so many people just don't even have the range or could never. And so, just something to really consider and think about, of like, sometimes things need more time. Sometimes what feels like procrastination, and maybe I'm just, making myself feel better, but sometimes what feels like procrastination is just like, let the thing marinate. Because I've been thinking about this story and thinking about it and worrying about it. And through back and forth, through the exchange of ideas, through watching certain shows, through paying attention to the world building, anime has become some like part of my personality. And so what I'm enjoying is how are they constructing the world, and everything that I enjoy, because I don't like the word consumption. Everything that I enjoy art wise, there is a case study to it. And so seeing from the beginning to where I am in this anime, and seeing like, this is how the world has changed. We have flashbacks now where we can see the difference between the story when it started and where they are now. And it's like, ooh, that's interesting. And figuring out how does that translate in what I'm doing. And so, what is it to allow your work to mature, and for you to have carve out more space for it versus forcing it to become a thing. And I got deadlines, and so I'm like, how do we do this to the quickness? But I don't know. I don't think about it just for what I'm working on, but I think about it on like a theme of, I haven't created a lot of new work but I also think that I'm sitting with what I have, the foundations that I have created, and I'm saying, where the seed has been planted, what do we do now to establish its growth? And so that is a tidbit that I wanted to share. I was talking about perfectionism because I think sometimes I have a fear of the story. There have been things that have happened to me, things that have fallen through, that still affect my feeling of being able to convey something in fiction form. If it's a poem, I got that. I'm not even gonna trip. It's not even something about being, arrogant or whatever. No, it's ever growing, but I have the ability to play within an epic, or any form of poetry. I think I've worked on this. I don't think I have worked on this since crafting, for real, for real. I don't think I even graduated yet. It was like 05, 06. Then a little break in the middle, but like I've always been writing and then taking it very, very, not seriously, but like being the student of it as well as a teacher for the last 4 years. And I think being able to do that for story writing takes a different approach, is what I'll say. And sometimes what it does is I get overwhelmed by my responsibility to do good work. Because I want it to be extraordinary, right? Like, I want all of my elders to be proud that this thing is out. And sometimes that feels humongous. And sometimes, like, oh, let me edit this and let me write this. My, like, perfectionism is procrastination. It's not doing the thing until the thing is due. It's crazy. I don't want to do that no more. It's hell because most times when you wait too long, you can't perfect the damn thing. So I don't know. But instead of being afraid of the work, I consider it as, what if we allowed what we've done so far to mature, to be read by others, to surrender it a little bit and let it lead me, and then, have somebody look through the work. I think a lot of times it's also editors make us better writers. Not always, right? But editors who truly believe in the work want it to be the best as well. It's in the best in their subjective view, right? But if we put two subjective views together, how do we make it an objective, exceptionally written thing? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I just be asking questions and figuring it out along the way. But to all of those listening, you got about 3 days after the new moon. If you feel called to plant some seeds, I am just feeling my way through the ethereal fog that is Pisces season, and ready for, everything's moving into Aries. Mercury is moving into Aries, so say what you want to say clearly. This is not a time for going around in circles. It's not. Wherever that lands in your chart, wherever Aries lands in your chart, Mercury is going to be there. So, do with that what you will. And be easy, y'all. Stay tuned for April. It's going to be a hell of an Apomo. National Poetry Month. I'm recording conversations as I go, and we'll have some invited folks. So we'll be in the I don't, not the recesses, but like in the minds of poets, which is my favorite thing to do, is get to know poets, what their processes are, but also just like things that they be thinking about, because poets and poetry are my favorite place to be. You know, apart from black and brown folks, like poets are my favorite existence to be in. So, it's about to be an astrological new year coming up when Aries season hits. And so, on your marks is the energy for that. And I have a new moon reading on YouTube, and I'll link my blog post. I also have some classes coming up. I have a 6-week intro to poetry that also has scholarships available. I'll throw that in the show notes. And my crystal shop is open until I figure out what... There's a change coming, but I'm not really sure what it all entails. But I'm just going with the tide while also like heading to certain places. So, stay tuned for the updates. There may or may not be additional episodes this month. And Pablier ou c'est magique. Do not forget that you are magic. No te olvides que eres magia. And I will see you next time, y'all. Thank you for listening to my sporadic Creatively Exposed. It's still my love child. I think it's like 4 years old by now, maybe more, 5. Yeah, and my Bookiversary also happened. So for those who are still listening, Soliloquy of an Ice Queen, parte 1, is officially 4 years old. I self-published, March 2020. Yep, I know. March 8th, 2020, which is my homie's birthday, who actually kept me all together while I was deciding to do the self-publishing thing. Sorry if I'm making noise. And that has led me down such a wonderful journey. So if you feel like you just want to put something out there into the world, sometimes you can do it backwards. That's all I will say. Sometimes the linear way of doing things doesn't work. And sometimes you just gotta do shit for yourself. And so I highly support it. It has gone further than I thought it would ever go. And we still celebrate it around these parts. I'll also throw in links for that. I have a zine, which is 12 Steps of Love Lost. That is like the 1.5 to Soliloquy of an Ice Queen. And I released that last year, and so I'll put all that stuff in the show notes if you want to check it out. It's short, so it's literally, I think, 12 pages, because they're micro poems, and which are just like small poems. And yeah, yo, have a great week.